Even though Earth has entered a new age of superheroes, space remains unexplored. Every single time they shoot a spacecraft into space, it gets destroyed before it ever leaves the atmosphere. It's to the point where nobody quite understands why it's impossible to get spacecraft off-world. But there's a reason, and that reason has selected a new target. Ready for liftoff. 5, 4, 3, 2... Hal held onto the controls of the spaceship. He'd been training his entire life, all 30 years of it, for this exact moment. Every single test, serving in the military, becoming an astronaut, had led to this moment. You had to be crazy at this point to become an astronaut, but Hal wanted the stars. He wanted to know what was out there, to go beyond the atmosphere and see the universe. Blast off. The ship took off, screaming with energy. "We got this," Hal's friend John said to his side. He nodded at him, but John, even John, looked absolutely terrified. They knew that this was basically a suicide mission. You had to be a combination PhD and crazy person to go into space at this point, when it had been so documented. Nobody ever left Earth's atmosphere, and the atmosphere was quickly rushing towards it. Deflecting booster, Hal pushed the button. The booster went away. Now was the moment. Now was the moment they would leave the atmosphere. There was nothing impeding the path. But then, in Hal's path, was a man made entirely out of stars. Stars and shadows with glowing white eyes. "What is that?" John said. The man pointed his hand towards the shuttle, and Hal screamed in pain as the shuttle exploded all around him. He closed his eyes knowing that there was a man, a superpowered man, keeping people restricted on Earth, trapped within the atmosphere. But the fact that he could think, Hal opened his eyes. The spaceship was gone. John, all the other astronauts, were dead. He saw the carcass of the spaceship falling down towards the surface. But right in front of him was the same man with his hand outstretched. "It saddens me to take human life," the man said. "Who are you?" Hal said. "I am atmosphere." He looked out past the atmosphere to the stars. Hal had never been so close to them. He was floating in atmosphere's grasp, and yet he struggled. "What do you want?" Hal said. "Why do you keep killing astronauts trying to get off of Earth?" "Would you believe me if I told you," Atmosphere said, "that I did it out of love?" Hal looked at him in the eyes, completely dumbfounded. Atmosphere shook his head. "I was a man like you once, long ago. I see I need to show you for you to understand." He went closer to Hal. "What are you doing?" Hal said, completely dumbfounded. He could float in space. His friends were dead. His entire life's purpose was a lie, stopped by this being made of galaxy-like skin. And yet when Atmosphere touched Hal's chest, Hal saw everything. He screamed as his body expanded. He looked down as his skin transformed into stars and negative space. He was turning into a being exactly like Atmosphere, and he didn't want it. "Stop!" Hal said. "Stop!" "Don't you understand?" Atmosphere said. He sighed, looking out at the vast universe. "I have no choice. I need your help." Hal screamed as the stars overtook his face, covering his eyes, every part of his body. And suddenly, Hal opened them, and he could see everywhere. The cosmos, nebulas, planets teeming with life. The universe was even more beautiful than he could ever imagine, and he wanted to see it even more now that he knew all the things that he theorized about extraterrestrial life, about pushing humanity to be an interplanetary species, were possible. Then he saw them. The fleet of giant warships, led by another being, made out of Atmosphere's skin, flying towards Earth. "Who's that?" Hal said. "That is why I must keep humanity safe," Atmosphere said. "Being Earth's atmosphere, it's not just about keeping people restricted on the planet and, unfortunately, cutting the flower of life of so many brave astronauts." Hal remembered. He thought about killing his friends. He screamed and felt space energy in his hands. He blasted them towards Atmosphere, not knowing what he was doing. Atmosphere dodged out of the way easily and grabbed Hal by the shoulder. "Please, if you must use your new gifts to fight me, you can. But trust me, listen to what I have to say first. It's not just restricting humanity on Earth that I do," Atmosphere said. Hal put his hand down, dumbfounded. It's also keeping humanity safe against them. The ships, led by the atmosphere creature, were outside of Earth's atmosphere right now. The planet's under attack, Hal said, his hands ignited with star energy. Atmosphere shook his head. It's not necessary. The life forms will go away as soon as I kill their atmosphere being. There, Hal said. Atmosphere screamed in rage. He summoned all the energy of the planet. The other atmosphere beings floating in space blasted at Atmosphere, but Atmosphere used his Earth energy to destroy the atmosphere being, blasting him into a skeleton floating in the middle of space. The ships, all made out of futuristic metal, panicked and jumped into a portal, going nowhere. They're getting bolder, Atmosphere said, watching the alien fleet leave. Wait, what just happened? Hal said, looking between Atmosphere and the portal, which had taken the alien fleet away. Atmosphere Guardians are some of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, but Atmosphere looked down at Earth. He looked at it with pure love, like a mother would at its child. They only get power when they are close to the atmosphere they protect, and I fear. He turned to Hal. You are my successor. I will not last much longer in this war against the Skull Cleavers. Skull Cleavers? Hal said. Brutes, really. Access to advanced technology through piracy, invading more advanced worlds, and co-opting their planets. They've unfortunately developed an interest in Earth's superhuman population. Hal looked down at Earth, its shifting waters and trees. I won't let them take it, Hal said. Atmosphere smiled. Good. So you understand why I transformed you. It was all too much for Hal. Was he not human anymore? He was an atmosphere guardian? Was he... Hal threw up in space. He thought about his family back home, his wife, his children. He could never see them again, not when he looked like this. What's gonna happen? Hal said, having an anxiety attack. He can breathe in space, and yet he couldn't breathe, couldn't feel. Atmosphere took him by the hand and guided him. They were flying towards the moon. Hal tried to pull against him, but Atmosphere shushed him. Please, it's better this way. When they landed on the moon and looked at Earth from the distance, Atmosphere again stared at Earth with pure love, like a father's love. Hard, but endlessly protective. Please, Hal said. I understand protecting Earth against extraterrestrial threats, but I don't understand. Why kill astronauts? Why restrict humanity onto Earth? Atmosphere turned and looked at Hal. He smiled a sad smile. Because I'm not a good person. Hal took a step back. Good person? You protect Earth against the Skull Cleavers. You are a good person. No, Atmosphere smiled. See, I'm not sick. I'm not ill. I'm not injured. I chose you as my successor. Atmosphere created a blade out of space energy, a sword made out of starlight. Another materialized into Hal's hand, standing across from him in the moon. Every time an astronaut tries to escape Earth, I can feel their thoughts screaming at me so loudly. Get me off of this rock, their thoughts said. I want to explore the universe. And every day that I kill them, I wonder, are they right? So I figured. Atmosphere smiled. He swung his space sword down towards Hal, and Hal barely put it up and blocked him. How much are they willing to fight to keep them safe? Atmosphere said. Hal screamed. He tried to fly off-world, but Atmosphere grabbed him by the leg and threw him down onto the moon. Atmosphere chuckled. You have all this power, and yet you're so weak. Hal tried to tap into his new abilities. There was so much energy and power. He could materialize, generate anything, and fly, and yet it was too much, and the sword was coming down. Hal screamed. He slashed out with the sword around towards Atmosphere's chest, with no care of his sword coming down towards his neck. Hal closed his eyes. He fell to his knees. Atmosphere laughed. Truly, genuinely laughed. He looked at Hal. He was kneeling on the surface of the moon. His sword had dematerialized the second Hal's sword had touched him. You struck me, Atmosphere said. He was fading into the starlight, fading into the galaxy. He looked at Hal deep in the eyes. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is time for humanity to go to the stars. Wait, Hal said. He kneeled next to Atmosphere. He looked at him in his eyes. Teach me how to protect Earth. You haven't taught me anything. You'll discover, Atmosphere said. And he faded into the mystery of space. "All systems go," the astronauts said. They flew towards the surface of the atmosphere. They looked at each other. They had chills. And they saw a figure made out of starlight. "It's a hero! Put on protective measures!" The ship sped faster and faster towards the atmosphere, but the creature made of starlight didn't stop them. He waved at them, waving goodbye. In the dumbfounded moment, the lead astronaut waved back at the creature, and the ship launched out into space. Hal watched the ship leave. He couldn't believe that he had broken the years and years and years of atmosphere's protection of humanity. He knew that the Skull Cleavers and all sorts of threats going towards Earth would now go after them. He clenched his fists, which shimmered with space energy. He knew that advanced alien races were kidnapping his people, kidnapping atmosphere guardians, and using them to attack. He wouldn't stop humanity from exploring the stars, but he would fight till his last breath to stop humanity from going extinct.